This is Ron. Welcome to my channel. If this is the first time here, this is episode 7 of the 71 Kawasaki F5 Bighorn restoration. If you watch my last video, you see I've made some decent progress. I'm still waiting for my hardware, so I've been using some of my hardware from the 75, and then when I get my freshly zinc plated hardware back from the platers, I will change it out. Got the wire harness in. I ended up cleaning up the original rims. I've looked into chrome places in Idaho and in the surrounding states, and I'm just not having any luck. Anybody that can do it in a reasonable time frame and not charge a fortune. I've got another set of day-coated rims that are all ready to go when I find somebody that can do it in a decent, I don't want to wait 3 months. So we'll see how that goes. I thought about putting the original type trail tires on, but I actually want to ride this bike in the dirt. And if you rode these bikes back then, when that's what all these bikes had, they're terrible in the dirt other than a real easy dirt road. So I put Dunlop 606s on front or rear, and I've used them on. I had a DRZ 400 and a Honda XR 650R. I had them on both bikes, and I'm really happy with those tires, and they are DOT approved. So that's what I got on there. I'll grab the camera and show you some close-up. They look decent. So I ended up having to order 3 more sets of spokes. The post office lost one of my orders, but so I've got all new spokes. Got them trued. I got them balanced. So from a couple feet away, they look really nice. But when you look close up, they've got some imperfections, some scratches, but they'll be fine until I can get some chromed ones. So I ended up buying the rear shocks from the eBay seller in Australia. They weren't expensive, and the good thing is they didn't charge me a tariff. And I talked to the lady at the post office, and she said she really hasn't had to charge anybody tariffs on anything coming out of country. At least that's what she told me. So that's encouraging, because there's other parts I need that I can only get them out of this country. So what I like about them, they're 14.3 inches, 365 millimeters, which you look at the original. Here's the original. These are 13. What is different, they look very similar, but the inside of the shock and the bottom, as you can see on the original, is black. But see, there's the almost 1.5 inches shorter, which I prefer, because this bike has got a really low seat height, 32 inches, and I don't like the way they look when they sit, because the front end is so high and it's like they're dragging their butt. So you're looking at the top of the frame there, it's almost level. I've got the forks adjusted down almost a 1/2 inch. In the manual, they suggest if you run them the full length, that you should get a fork brace. And I bought a new old stock fork brace, and what you know, it's not the right one, even though it said it was for an F5. The holes are wrong, and it's not even gonna. It may just barely clear. So I'm still looking for a fork brace, but what I've really discovered on these bikes, and see I got my nice, where is it? Right there. My new VIN decal. They really add to the bike, and it makes it look nice. I'm just about ready to order my, I'll put the camera back, my tank decal set and seat cover from Diablo Cycle, which they used to be reproduction decals in Canada, and I've been buying stuff from them for, at least 15 years for the triples, and really good service. Their parts are really nice, and I bought all my decal sets pretty much from them, and there's been a few I got from Rick Brett on the triples, because he would offer the waterborne ones instead of they're much thinner, so if you're clearing over it, the waterborne ones, once you clear it, you can't even feel the decals. But I prefer the ones that are just sticky back and then clear over, because they're much easier to put on. I've ruined a few of the waterborne ones. They're kind of like if you used to do the little plastic models when you were a kid, and you would release them in water. It doesn't take much to tear them. So before I had the wheels on, I had the frame on my dirt bike stand, and I set the motor in temporarily once I had all the electric in it, in the frame, because I wanted to test and make sure my new CDI box worked. And I'm using the stator from the 70, because the one in the, I'm not sure where it was, from this bike, the stator cover had a broken piece on the inside. You couldn't really see, but it allowed all the debris from the train chain to go in there, and it worked, but it just looked terrible. So the one I used, I wasn't sure if it worked. It measured all right when I measured the resistance on the 3 leads going to the CDI box. So I set it in, put a couple bolts in, put the Kickstarter in, and turned the key on, and instantly got really good spark. So that's really encouraging. So I'm going to put the motor back in. Just going to set a couple of crappy engine bolts that I have until I get my good ones back, and get everything connected. I can't put the cylinder head on because, well, once again, they have my cylinder bolts. So it's frustrating when you're, held up by, another vendor, but it's really hard these days to find places that do plating, whether it's zinc or chrome. That's why for a while I was doing doing the zinc myself. It's not hard, but it's very time consuming, and I prefer just have somebody else do that so I can do the stuff I enjoy. It's like, I like it when everything's ready to go and you just put everything together. And on this bike, it's not happening like that. It's so much harder than restoring a bike like a Kawasaki Triple, because they're so popular. You can buy just about any part for the bike. A lot of stuff is reproduction. Some of it is crap. Some of it is really high quality. And then you can get used stuff too, mostly on eBay. But the prices of that stuff is just crazy as the value of those bikes went up. When I started restoring them, you could buy a nice one for 8 to 10 grand all day long. And now I see some that are $7,000 or $8,000 that look like they went down with a Titanic. They have so much rust on them, and I know how much it costs to restore one. I restored a completely original 72, I think about 5 years ago. Guy was, it was his brother's, and his brother bought it brand new, and everything was there, everything was correct, but a lot of stuff was pitted or corroded, and I had to get a lot of stuff replaced. And just in parts was $10,000. And then with my labor, I think I had 120 hours of labor. So, you're gonna have over 20,000 in the bike, and that's not even buying the bike to start with. And the market is getting softer on those bikes. I've seen some nice ones in the low 20s, but like I said, when I started getting into them in 2007, 2009, a real nice one you could buy for 10 to 12 grand, and it's just, I feel kind of priced out. I'd like us to have a 73 purple H2 750, but when you're retired and on a fixed income, spending 25 grand on an old motorcycle that is going to sit 99% of the time in your garage so that you can just look at it, just that doesn't make sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking for a good dual sport to do the Idaho BDR, and I want to do the Oregon, and I guess they've got a Montana one and a Wyoming one, and that sounds like a lot of fun to me. And so I just have to decide what's the best bike for me. You would never want to do something like this. You need something that's really got a good suspension, dependable, gets decent mileage. These bikes are supposed to get like 38, 39 miles to a gallon, which is not bad at all, but they're not very comfortable. I would not even want to attempt it on something like this. So probably my number one choice would be a Kawasaki KLX 450R. What's nice about Idaho is you can take any off-road bike within reason. I'm not sure about the two-strokes, but any four-stroke, and put the light, blinkers, the horn on it, and get it converted to a street legal dual sport. So I think the only place the KLX 450R came street legal that I know of was Australia. I wish I could find one of those, but they're not that bad. I've seen some decent ones, $2,500 to $3,500. That would make my first choice because I think the ride weight is under 260 pounds, where I'm looking at a DR 650, which is a bulletproof bike, but they're like 366 dry. And when you're my age, trying to lift up a bike, when you have your gear on, it's going to be over 400, probably 450 pounds. It just isn't appealing. I watched some of the videos on the BDRs, and you see the guys with the great big adventure bikes that, the KTM 890, 990s, 1290s, the big GS BMWs, and those 600-700 pounds. And if you're by yourself and try to pick one of those up, especially at 68 years old, now I don't want to do that. So, and I plan on making videos of when I get that bike, of cleaning it up, getting it ready for the BDRs and maintenance and stuff like that. And I'll probably film myself on the BDR. I'm trying to find some local guys here in southern Idaho that want to do it with me, because I don't want to do it by myself. And I got my 4Runner set up with it's one of those hitch bike carriers, but it's a really good one. It's right over there next to the refrigerator. It wasn't cheap. You can buy cheap ones, $200-300. This was over $1,200, but it's something you could stick back on your 4Runner. It's really rugged, and I like to have somebody follow us on the BDR with my 4Runner, so we don't have to carry as much stuff. And one of us breaks down, we can throw the bike on the back of the 4Runner. So that's the plan. So what I'm going to do next is set the motor in there, get it connected up, and go from there. I got my gauges cleaned up. I was going to use the original handlebars, but set them on the clamps and they're really bad. So I'm looking for another set. These are just going to be temporary. They're a little bit too low, even though I like the style. Got the forks rebuilt. I polished them up, so they look nice. So it's coming along. It's going to be a nice looking bike. I've also got to grab my tank here. I got to make a new bracket because mine is gone. There's supposed to be a bracket here with a hole in it that catches a bracket here. So I got to make that. Then I'll strip the tank, strip the oil tank. I repaired my front fenders, I said in the last video, and I'm going to have a local body shop mix me up some paint. It should be super easy because it's not metallic. It's just a simple lime green, and then I'll get the, and leave comments if you want to show in depth how I do the body work and painting, because I was a body man for 50 years, so I'm pretty good at that end of it. I cleaned the tank with muric acid and then distilled vinegar. The tank was in pretty clean, but I got it so it's nice and clean now. So I think that's good for now, and I'll let you know when I'm going to upload another video. Thanks for watching.